Welcome into your PFF Draft Recap powered by PFF Elite. Sam, it's all about the Cleveland Browns today, who got our guy, Baker Mayfield, the #1 overall pick, the #1 quarterback on our board, on our overall draft board, the #1 player. Nobody thought it would happen, so let's do the quick victory lap. We had Baker Mayfield as the #1 overall pick for the Browns dating back to last October. Nobody thought it was going to happen, but it actually did on draft night.
Yeah, what did the Browns do with the #1 overall pick? Knocked it right out of the park, Steve.
We got to work on that swing.
Look, it's a little tricky to do with a table in front of you. But you get the idea. The Browns absolutely nailed this pick. When we watch and grade every single play of every single player in the FBS for the last few seasons of college football, Baker Mayfield came out as the #1 player in the entire nation, the #1 quarterback in this class, and the Browns selected the best guy they could possibly have taken.
Yeah, the best 2 grades we've ever given, 3 out of our top 6 in the 4 years that we've done this. So Baker Mayfield, every way we sliced the numbers, and trust me, I'm not always partial to short guys like him, 6 feet tall. I was looking for excuses the entire draft process.
Why you gotta hate the short people?
I don't. See, I had him #1. We had him #1. It was okay. He came out on top. But when I was looking for excuses to be, dropping him on the board, it didn't matter whether he was in a clean pocket, facing pressure, blitz, no blitz, didn't matter. He was awesome every time we went back and even did our advanced accuracy charting all in the PFF draft guide. No one's ever done this before, the way that we did it with the ball location. And he came out #1 in that as well, actually for 2 straight years. He was #1 in the 2016 draft class because we stacked him up against those guys, and in the 2017 and 2018 draft classes. Baker Mayfield, #1.
Yeah, and his numbers, even when we start dialing into the predictive stuff, the play from a clean pocket, the things that are most likely to translate to the next level because it's the most repeatable part of playing quarterback, his numbers were even further ahead of the rest of the pack when it comes to that stuff. His numbers from a clean pocket, mind-blowing. His numbers when it comes to advanced accuracy, again, insane. Baker Mayfield has a chance to end the factory of sadness in Cleveland.
Yeah, I like it. So I think they made the right pick. They got their guy, they got our guy. For more on Baker Mayfield, it's all on the YouTube channel. We did at least 12, 13 minutes breaking him down even further, so be sure to go and check that out. With the #4 pick, they go with Denzel Ward out of Ohio State. And this is one, Sam, where I think the debate or the expected pick here was Bradley Chubb, the defensive end out of NC State. And when they went with Denzel Ward, I thought it was a great pick. Ward was actually higher than Bradley Chubb on our big board, and reason being, first off, corners just a little bit more valuable than pass rushers at the next level. And there were some question marks about Chubb and his ability to maybe translate as an elite pass rusher at the next level. I love this pick for Denzel Ward.
And even if he had been the surefire elite pass rusher that everybody else thinks Bradley Chubb is, I think it still would have been the smart decision to take Denzel Ward at 4 because cornerback is more valuable than edge rusher. And logically, that makes sense. If you think about it, even if a pass rusher doesn't get home, gets stoned by the offensive tackle, the cornerback can still fix that on the back end. When the ball arrives, he can break it up, he can intercept it, he can prevent that becoming a big play. If the same thing happens on the back end, if the cornerback screws up, there's nobody fixing that. It's a touchdown. It's game over. So cornerback is the more valuable part when it comes to coverage than pass rush is because there's no last line of defense. That is the guy that makes the difference between big plays and not. I think getting a shutdown corner is absolutely the smartest move they could make.
Yeah, Ward, fantastic player, great final season in PFF grading, and I just love his combination of speed and quickness. You just don't see a lot of guys who run 4.3 who have the type of lateral agility and footwork that Ward brings to the table. I know there were some question marks about his height. He's a sub-6 foot corner. The NFL's been trending that way in this draft. They drafted a whole bunch of sub-6 foot corners in the first round, Ward being the best out of that group. And look, I just think he plays bigger than that height. He knows how to play through the ball. And the speed and the quickness that he brings to the table make him the top pure man coverage corner in this draft.
Yeah, and the bottom line is in the numbers. If you look at his coverage numbers in college, they are absolutely incredible. Over the last 2 seasons, he allowed 35% of passes sent his way to be caught. You think about college quarterbacks completing 65, 70% of their passes, throwing at Denzel Ward, that pretty much halves. That's incredible. He had 7 games last season in which he did not allow a catch. Nothing. No catches shut down corner in seven games over the season. Those are incredible numbers. Even if the job is going to get harder at the National Football League level, that still suggests he is going to be a lockdown guy, and that makes that number 4 selection so smart.
The height does show up every now and again against bigger receivers, and but it's not enough to knock him down. I mean, I love the pick at number 4. There's more on Denzel Ward in our scouting report on the YouTube channel as well. So we liked 1, we liked 4. Now, top of the second round, they got 2 players that we liked quite a bit as well. Austin Corbett out of Nevada, Nick Chubb out of Georgia. However, at the top of the second round with picks 33 and 35, that home run that you talked about earlier could have become a grand slam. If they got our guys, maybe a Harold Landry out of Boston College who fell, maybe a Josh Jackson, our top corner on the board, I would have liked this draft a little bit more. I don't hate these picks. Austin Corbett, Nick Chubb, players we like, but there were players that we loved still on the board, would have made this an epic draft for the Browns.
Yeah, I think they're both good players, and Nick Chubb in particular, I think, could have a really nice role within that offense. I think he was our number 4 graded running back, number 4 ranked running back last season. He can do it all. I think he's a bit of a forgotten superstar in this draft because of that devastating knee injury that set him back after such a fantastic freshman campaign. He was almost all the way back in 2017. We started to see the real Nick Chubb again. So I think he in particular could have a really nice role within that offense. Austin Corbett, though, is the one that is a little bit more curious for me because the Browns listed him a tackle or announced him a tackle. I think he's best as a center. He played all 3 positions during the Senior Bowl, played tackle in college at Nevada, but he was our number 3 ranked center overall, had a PFF grade of 84.0 last season. As a center prospect, I think he's a really good player. It's still maybe a round higher than I would have taken him, but as a tackle prospect, I think that's a little bit more curious, and I wonder if he's worth that kind of pick.
So he does have 3 solid years of grading in the PFF system. It's all in the PFF draft guide. You can see the breakdown on all of these players. But like you said, he did his better work on the interior during the offseason process, so we'll see if he can stick there. Plus, I think on our board, Connor Williams, tackle out of Texas, a little bit higher than we had Corbett. And Williams is a guy that the Dallas Cowboys could potentially move to guard, but we still see as a better tackle prospect at the next level. I'm with you with Nick Chubb, by the way. If he is back to what he was, even as just a freshman, he was so good after the catch and just breaking tackles. His elusiveness was absolutely incredible. Let's see, rounding out the draft here, Chad Thomas out of Miami, former 5-star recruit who just got better as the years went on. Never lived up to the 5-star status, but solid in the run game, improved as a pass rusher. Just a pretty good mid-round pick for them that I think adds some depth on that defensive line.
Yeah, he added some nice depth on the defensive line, was a good run defender and a good pass rusher this past season. He's an interesting pick. The one guy that I really like, though, that could add to that pass rush even more is Guignard Avery, a linebacker from Memphis. They drafted in the 5th round, number 150 overall, coming off a good PFF grade last season, 82.4. But here's the key. He split time at Memphis last season between off-the-ball linebacker, inside linebacker, and edge rusher, outside linebacker, primary pass rusher in that system. He generated 57 total pressures in 276 pass rushes last season. That is an incredible rate of pressure, and he could end up being a better pass rusher than a guy like Chad Thomas, who was taken 2 rounds earlier.
Yeah, I like that versatility too, that ability to maybe play multiple spots or just, be that edge rusher on 3rd down, add another weapon there. The other guy that we need to mention, 4th round pick, Antonio Callaway. A lot of similarities to Josh Gordon, who's already on the field for 2 main reasons. First, the off-the-field issues. Callaway missed the entire 2017 season, has had multiple suspensions at Florida, but when on the field, I don't think his testing was the best, but on the field game speed, he's that guy who just always gets behind corners with his speed, can take the shallow cross and turn it into a home run. And as a punt returner, also returned a punt for a touchdown against Alabama a couple of years ago in the SEC championship. He's a game breaker with the ball in his hands. You just have those off the field questions. He's a guy that the more we watched him, we're like, man, he's at least a 2nd round type of wide receiver prospect if you take the off field out of it. And he goes in the 4th. That's worth the risk there to see if you can get something out of him as a big play threat.
You could make the argument that he's the most talented wide receiver in this receiving group this season, such as it is. This was not a year of fantastic wide receivers. if you look at what the Browns now have in that receiving group, Josh Gordon, Corey Coleman, Jarvis Landry, now Antonio Callaway, added to that, the potential of that group is off the charts good. The question is, where in that spectrum are they going to fall? Are they going to realize that potential, or are they going? There's so much risk factor attached to that as well.
Yeah, plus you had David Njoku, first-round tight end last year. They've got some weapons for Baker Mayfield. So they got the top quarterback off the board, our number 2 corner, and a whole lot of our other favorite players. We really enjoyed this Cleveland Browns draft, and certainly glad that they listened to us, Sam. We had Baker Mayfield at 1 back in October.
They bought their draft guide.
They bought the draft guide as well. You should too. PFF Edge and Elite. That is your Cleveland Browns 2018 NFL Draft Recap.